Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Thompson. I'm a 32-year-old software engineer, and I'm proud of my mixed-race background. My parents always supported me, which helped me do well in school and get my dream job. Life was great until I met James Carter, an amazing architect. We quickly fell in love, got married, and started a family. When our daughter Olivia was born, I thought things couldn't be better, but then I noticed some strange behavior from my mother-in-law, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is well known in our neighborhood for hosting fancy parties and socializing with important people. However, the way she treated Olivia bothered me. She often pointed out that Olivia wasn't talking as much as her cousins did at that age. I would remind her that every child develops at their own pace and that Olivia is perfect just as she is. Still, Elizabeth kept making comments, especially at family gatherings, comparing Olivia to her other grandkids, which made me feel uneasy. I tried to focus on the positive parts of my life, my great job, loving husband, and beautiful daughter, but Elizabeth's remarks began to wear on me. Luckily, I had my work friend Michael to talk to. He encouraged me, saying, "You're an amazing mom, and Olivia is lucky to have you." I wished James could see how Elizabeth's comments were affecting me. As time passed, I felt that Elizabeth's behavior was more than just innocent comments. There was something uncomfortable about it. During lunch with Michael, I shared my concerns. I asked him if I was overreacting or if there really was something wrong with how Elizabeth treated Olivia. He thought for a moment and suggested that there might be some prejudice behind her comments. I had tried to talk to James about it, but he always defended his mom, saying I was being too sensitive. Michael reassured me, saying I wasn't alone and to not let anyone make me doubt myself or Olivia. His support helped, but I felt a conflict brewing. Elizabeth's comments were becoming more common, and I started to see a pattern. I wondered how I could address this issue without causing family drama. As I tucked Olivia into bed that night and looked at her peaceful face, I felt torn. I promised myself that I would always protect Olivia from anyone who tried to make her feel less than the amazing girl she is, even if that person was her own grandmother. As Olivia's third birthday approached, Elizabeth's comments about her development became impossible to ignore. At a family barbecue celebrating Olivia's birthday, I overheard a conversation that made my blood boil. Elizabeth was talking to my sister-in-law, saying, "It's such a shame about little Olivia. She's just not as quick as the other kids her age." I suppose it's to be expected, given Sarah's background. I froze, nearly dropping the plate of cupcakes in my hands. Anger surged within me, and I marched over to confront her. "What exactly do you mean by that, Elizabeth?" I demanded. She looked surprised, which only fueled my anger. "Oh, Sarah, I was just expressing concern for Olivia's well-being. You know how important early development is." "No, you weren't. You were implying that my daughter is slow because of my race. How dare you?" Just then, James came over, sensing the tension. "What's going on here?" he asked. I told him, "Your mother thinks Olivia is developmentally delayed because of my background. Can you believe that?" James looked uncomfortable, caught between us. "Mom, I'm sure you didn't mean it like that." "Sarah, let's not make a scene at Olivia's party." I couldn't believe my ears. "Make a scene? Your mother just insulted our daughter and me, and you're worried about making a scene?" The argument escalated, with Elizabeth denying any bad intentions and James trying to play peacemaker. In the end, I stormed off, feeling completely alone and unsupported. The next day at work, I was still shaken from the confrontation when I received another blow. My big project, which I had been working on for months, was a mess. As I investigated, I realized someone had deliberately sabotaged my work. I confided in my friend Michael, saying, "I think Amanda messed with my project files." Michael looked concerned. "That's a serious accusation. Sarah, are you sure? Do the timestamps on the corrupted files match her login times? It can't be a coincidence. You need to report this to HR, he advised. Then he asked, "Speaking of standing up for yourself, how are things at home after the party incident?" I sighed heavily. James is still playing peacemaker. James didn't want to upset his mother or me, but by trying to please everyone, he was failing to support his own wife and daughter. Michael leaned in, looking serious. "Sarah, you can't let this slide, at work or at home. You need to stand up for yourself and Olivia." His words resonated with me. That evening, I decided to confront James. "We need to talk about what happened at the party," I said as soon as he walked in. James sighed. "Can't we just move past it? Mom didn't mean any harm." "No, we can't. Your mother implied our daughter is slow because of my race. How are you okay with that?" "She's just old-fashioned, Sarah. She doesn't understand." I cut him off. "Stop making excuses for her. Our daughter deserves better. I want Olivia to get tested for any developmental issues. James looked surprised. Tested? But there's nothing wrong with her. Exactly. I want to prove your mother wrong once and for all. After a heated discussion, James reluctantly agreed. That night, as I lay in bed, my mind raced with thoughts of work drama and family tension. I knew the road ahead would be tough, but I was determined to fight for myself and my daughter. No one, not even my mother-in-law, would make us feel inferior again. When the test results arrived, I could hardly contain my excitement. I rushed to share the news with James as soon as he got home. James, you won't believe this. Olivia's results are in, and she's not just developing normally, she's gifted in several areas. James's eyes widened in surprise. Really? That's amazing. I could see the realization dawning on him as I continued. The psychologist said her problem-solving skills are off the charts, and her language development is well above average for her age. I had no idea, James mumbled, genuinely shocked. Now do you see what I've been saying about your mother's prejudice? She's been wrong about Olivia this whole time. James nodded slowly. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. We need to tell Mom about this. But when we shared the news with Elizabeth, her reaction was not what we hoped for. Well, I'm sure those tests can be quite unreliable, she scoffed. Perhaps you should get a second opinion from a more reputable source. I couldn't believe my ears. Are you serious? You've been criticizing Olivia's development for years, and now that we have proof she's gifted, you're claiming the tests are wrong? James finally stepped in. Mom, that's enough. These are professional results, and we trust them. Elizabeth's face turned sour. I'm just looking out for my granddaughter. If you two want to live in denial, that's your choice, I said, feeling fed up. You know what? Let's settle this once and for all. We'll all take a DNA test, including you, Elizabeth. Then we'll see if my background is really the issue here. The tension in the room was thick, and James looked uncomfortable but nodded in agreement. Elizabeth, caught off guard, reluctantly agreed, probably thinking she had nothing to lose. While we waited for the DNA test results, I focused on my work, determined to expose Amanda's sabotage. Michael and I spent late nights gathering evidence, going through system logs and file histories. One evening, I pointed at my screen and said, "Look at this. Amanda accessed my project files at 2 a.m., way outside of work hours." Michael leaned in, nodding. "That's definitely suspicious. We've got her now, Sarah." But as I focused on work, I noticed that James was becoming more distant. He was spending more time at the office and coming home late, looking exhausted. One night, I confronted him. "James, what's going on? You're barely home anymore." He sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry, Sarah. This whole situation with Mom and Olivia is just a lot to process. I need some space to think." "Space? James, I need your support now more than ever. We're supposed to be a team." I know. I just need time." As James pulled away, I started to rely more on Michael for support. We would grab coffee after work, and I'd vent about my frustrations. "I just don't understand, Michael. Why can't James see how toxic his mother's behavior is?" Michael placed a comforting hand on mine. "He's caught between two worlds, Sarah. It's not easy for him, but that doesn't excuse his behavior. You deserve better." I felt a warmth in my chest at his words, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. "Thanks, Michael. I don't know what I'd do without you right now." As the days passed, waiting for the DNA results felt like an eternity. The tension at home was unbearable, with James barely speaking to me and Olivia picking up on the stress. I threw myself into work and my friendship with Michael, trying to stay strong for what was to come. Little did I know, the results would change everything. The day the DNA results arrived, I felt a mix of anxiety and hope. "If you two want to live in denial, that's your choice," I said, feeling fed up. "Let's settle this once and for all. We'll all take a DNA test, including you, Elizabeth. Then we'll see if my background is really the issue." The tension in the room was thick. James looked uncomfortable but nodded in agreement. Elizabeth, caught off guard, reluctantly agreed, probably thinking she had nothing to lose. While we waited for the DNA test results, I focused on work, determined to expose Amanda's sabotage. Michael and I spent late nights gathering evidence, going through system logs and file histories. One evening, I pointed at my screen and said, "Look at this. Amanda accessed my project files at 2 a.m., way outside of work hours." Michael leaned in and nodded. "That's definitely suspicious. We've got her now, Sarah." But as I worked, I noticed James becoming more distant. He was spending more time at the office and coming home late, looking exhausted. One night, I confronted him. "James, what's going on? You're barely home anymore." He sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry, Sarah. This whole situation with Mom and Olivia is just a lot to process. I need some space to think." "Space? James, I need your support now more than ever. We're supposed to be a team." I know. I just need time." As James pulled away, I found myself relying more on Michael for support. We would grab coffee after work, and I'd vent about my frustrations. "I just don't understand, Michael. Why can't James see how toxic his mother's behavior is?" Michael placed a comforting hand on mine. "He's caught between two worlds, Sarah. It's not easy for him, but that doesn't excuse his behavior. You deserve better." I felt warmth in my chest at his words, a feeling I hadn't had in a long time. "Thanks, Michael. I don't know what I'd do without you right now." As the days passed, waiting for the DNA results felt like an eternity. The tension at home was unbearable, with James barely speaking to me and Olivia picking up on the stress. I threw myself into work and my friendship with Michael, trying to stay strong for what was to come. Little did I know, the results would change everything. The day the DNA results arrived, I felt a mix of anxiety and hope. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. I couldn't believe my eyes. "James, you need to see this," I called out, my voice trembling. He rushed over, looking concerned. "What is it?" "Your mother has mixed heritage, including ancestors from my background." James's jaw dropped. That's impossible." But it was true. Elizabeth, the woman who had criticized my heritage for years, shared the very ancestry she despised. When we confronted Elizabeth with the results, her reaction was explosive. "This is absurd. These tests are clearly flawed. I won't stand for this nonsense." James, finally seeing how toxic his mother was, stood firmly by my side. "Enough, Mom. Your behavior has been unacceptable. Until you can acknowledge your prejudice and apologize, we're cutting ties." Elizabeth stormed out, leaving us in stunned silence. Meanwhile, at work, things were coming to a head with Amanda. I presented my evidence to HR, and within days, she was dismissed. "You did it, Sarah," Michael said, giving me a high five. "Justice served." As news of Elizabeth's hypocrisy spread through her social circles, she faced increasing isolation. I couldn't find it in myself to feel sorry for her. My career, on the other hand, was taking off. A top tech company offered me a prestigious position, recognizing my skills and resilience. One evening, James approached me, looking contrite. "Sarah, I owe you an apology. I should have supported you from the beginning. Can you forgive me?" I took a deep breath. "It's not going to be easy, James, but if you're willing to work on our relationship, so am I." Over the following months, James proved his commitment. He attended therapy, actively supported my career, and doted on Olivia. Elizabeth made several attempts to reconcile, but I stood firm. "I'm sorry, Elizabeth, but I can't expose Olivia to your toxic influence. Maybe someday, but not now." As time passed, our family grew stronger. Olivia thrived, her gifts blossoming in a supportive environment. James and I rebuilt our bond, stronger than ever. One sunny afternoon, as we watched Olivia play in the park, James squeezed my hand. "Thank you for fighting for our family, Sarah. I'm so proud of you." I smiled, feeling truly content. We fought for it together, and in the end, that's what matters. Looking at my beautiful mixed-race daughter and my supportive husband, I knew we had overcome the worst. Our future was bright, filled with love and acceptance, free from the shadows of prejudice that had once threatened to tear us apart. Now, the story has come to an end. I have a question for you. If you were in Sarah's position, would you consider reconciling with Elizabeth, given her history of racism and the pain she caused? Or is cutting toxic family members out of your life sometimes the best solution, even if they're blood relatives? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions matter, and they could help others facing similar situations. If you found this story compelling, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Your support helps us continue sharing these important narratives. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to reading your responses.